Chosen one. What if I told you that while you've been questioning whether God even sees you, He's been signing transfer papers with your name on them? What if I revealed that every rejection you've endured, every door that slammed shut, every night you cried yourself to sleep wondering if you'd ever matter, was actually God positioning you for a financial breakthrough so massive it will leave your family speechless? What if the reason you're watching this right now, at this exact moment, in this exact season of your life, is because heaven just cleared the final authorization for a wealth transfer that's about to rewrite your family's entire story? Stop everything. This isn't a video, this is a divine summons. And you've just stepped into something heaven has been orchestrating for generations. You see, chosen one, you've been living in the shadows of your potential, accepting crumbs when God has been preparing a feast. But tonight, right now, the curtain is being thrown back. The vault of heaven is creaking open, and what's about to pour into your life will shock everyone who thought they had you figured out. Your name. Your name is being spoken in boardrooms you've never entered. Contracts are being drawn up for doors you've never knocked on. Bank accounts are being prepared for deposits that have no earthly explanation. If this message found you, it's not an accident. It's divine appointment. You didn't stumble across this, you were led here. Because God needs you to understand something that will change everything. The transfer has already been approved. While your family remembers your struggles, heaven remembers your faithfulness. While they see your limitations, God sees your authorization. And the shock they're about to experience isn't just about the money, it's about discovering who you really are. I want to thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're sowing seeds of light into souls who feel forgotten in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your faith, your willingness to believe for more. If this message is stirring something deep in your spirit, go ahead and plant that seed. But know this, your breakthrough isn't dependent on your gift. It's dependent on God's goodness. If your spirit is already stirring, if something inside you is saying, "This is for me," pause right now and comment 2099. That's heaven's number for divine reversal. This moment will not come again. The window is open, the transfer is moving, and what you're about to discover will not only change your bank account, it will change your bloodline forever. Are you ready to see what God has been hiding in the vault with your name on it? Why has your pain been so private? Why has your struggle been so silent? Why have you been fighting battles in the darkness while everyone else seems to walk in the light? Listen to me, chosen one. What you've mistaken for abandonment has actually been appointment. What you've called rejection has been divine redirection. And what you've experienced as delay has been God's deliberate development of something so powerful within you that when it finally emerges, it will leave your family stunned into silence. You thought you were buried, didn't you? Covered by circumstances, suffocated by setbacks, crushed under the weight of dreams deferred. But God never buries His chosen ones, He plants them. And there's a profound difference between being buried and being planted. When you're buried, you're finished. When you're planted, you're just beginning. Every tear you cried in secret was watering something sacred. Every night you questioned your worth was God strengthening your roots. Every moment you felt forgotten was heaven preparing you for a harvest your family has never seen before. The Bible tells us in Psalm 126:5, "Those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy." But here's what most people miss about that verse. The sowing comes first. The tears come first. The invisible preparation comes first. And you, dear one, have been sowing in the darkness for so long that your harvest is about to be supernatural. God wasn't ignoring you. He was investing in you silently. While others received quick answers, you received deep development. While they got temporary solutions, you were being forged for permanent transformation. Your delay was not denial, it was divine development. Think about Joseph. 13 years in a pit, in slavery, in prison, 13 years of wondering if God had forgotten his dreams. But those weren't wasted years, they were investment years. God was building character in the darkness that could handle power in the light. He was developing integrity in isolation that could steward influence in the palace. And when Pharaoh finally called Joseph's name, when that transfer of authority happened, when that sudden elevation occurred, Joseph's family was absolutely shocked. They remembered the dreamer boy. They remembered the one they sold into slavery. They never expected to bow before him as the second most powerful man in Egypt. But God had been preparing Joseph in secret for a public purpose that would save nations. Your preparation has been just as deliberate, just as strategic, just as divine. Every rejection you faced was God protecting you from settling for less than his best. Every door that closed was heaven redirecting you toward the door that will open to dimensions of blessing your bloodline has never experienced. Every person who walked away was God making room for the divine connections that are about to enter your life. You've been in the furnace, yes, but the furnace wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to refine you. Daniel's 3 friends went into the fire bound, but they came out loose. They went in as prisoners, but they came out as princes. They went in smelling like smoke, but they came out without even the scent of fire on their clothes. Your season in the fire is ending. And what's about to emerge from the flames is a version of yourself that your family won't recognize. Not because you've become someone else, but because you've finally become who God always knew you were. The reason your family won't understand what's about to happen to you is because they never saw the preparation. They only saw the pain. They witnessed the struggle, but they missed the strengthening. They observed the setbacks, but they overlooked the setup. Isaiah 54:16 declares, "Behold, I have created the blacksmith who blows the coals in the fire, who brings forth an instrument for his work." God created the very circumstances that seemed to be working against you. He designed the pressure that felt like it would break you. Because pressure doesn't destroy diamonds, it creates them. Your family saw you bending under the weight, but God saw you being shaped into something precious. They saw you struggling, but heaven saw you strengthening. They watched you endure, but the Lord witnessed you evolving. And now, after years of invisible preparation, you're about to enter visible manifestation. The wealth transfer that's coming isn't just about money, it's about vindication, it's about validation. It's about God publicly honoring what he privately prepared. This isn't the end of your story. It's the first visible chapter of what God wrote in silence. All those years when nothing seemed to be happening, everything was happening. All those moments when you felt stuck, you were actually being established. All those seasons when you appeared to be going backward, you were being positioned for a breakthrough that will catapult you forward by decades. The authorization has been signed, the transfer has been approved, the harvest season has arrived, and your family is about to witness what happens when God decides to reveal what he's been building in the secret place. If you've ever cried where no one could hear you, just type, "God saw me." Let the heavens record your endurance. Let the angels testify to your faithfulness, because your tears weren't wasted. They were watering the miracle that's about to manifest. There's a reason this message found you today. There's a reason your spirit is stirring as these words wash over your soul. God is preparing you for the revelation of his goodness in your life. And what's about to unfold will not only shock your family, it will shock you. But before we unveil the magnitude of what's coming, you need to understand something crucial about divine timing. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. What's happening to you right now isn't just about money. This is sacred justice. This is heaven correcting the books. For too long you've watched the wrong people prosper. You've seen the greedy get promoted while you stayed faithful in the back row. You've witnessed the corrupt climb ladders while you crawled through valleys. And somewhere deep in your spirit, you started to wonder if God was even paying attention. But what you didn't know is that every act of injustice was being recorded. Every unfair advantage they took was being calculated. Every time you were passed over for someone less qualified, less faithful, less deserving, God was taking notes. And tonight, the ledger is being balanced. The Bible says in Proverbs 13:22, "The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous, not given, not donated, laid up, stored, accumulated, with interest, with compound blessing, and now it's time for the transfer." This is not just provision, chosen one. This is reposition. God isn't just putting money in your hands. He's putting you in a different tax bracket, a different social circle, a different conversation entirely. You see, there's a reason this transfer had to wait until now. There's a reason you had to endure 20, 30, maybe 40 years of struggle first. Because God needed to know something about you. He needed to see what you would do when you had nothing. How you would treat people when you were overlooked. Whether you would stay faithful when faithfulness felt foolish, and you passed the test. While others were building their kingdoms with shortcuts and compromises, you were building character in the crucible. While they were networking their way to the top, you were praying your way through the bottom. And now God is ready to show the world what happens when heaven decides to fund someone who actually deserves it. This is not a deposit from man. This is a transfer backed by eternity's bank account. And that account has never bounced a check. You didn't chase money, did you? You chased obedience. You followed God into seasons that made no financial sense. You tithed when your lights were about to be cut off. You gave when you barely had groceries. You served when others were taking. And now money is chasing you. Can you feel it? That shift in the atmosphere around your life. Opportunities that used to run from you are now running toward you. Doors that were slammed shut are creaking open. Phone calls that never came are about to start ringing. Because when God funds a transfer, He doesn't just move money. He moves heaven and earth. But here's what's going to shock your family the most. It's not the amount. It's the authority you're going to walk in. Because you are not just receiving a check, chosen one. You are receiving a mantle. The mantle of the family financier. The mantle of the generational game changer. The mantle of the one who breaks cycles and builds legacies. Your grandmother prayed for this. Your great-grandmother fasted for this. They may not have lived to see it, but they planted seeds in the spirit realm that are about to bloom in your bank account. This transfer isn't just for you. It's the answer to prayers that were prayed before you were born. And that's why your family won't understand it at first. They've been conditioned by generational poverty. They've accepted struggle as normal. They've made peace with just getting by. But you were never meant to just get by. You were meant to overflow. Think about it. Why do you think God allowed you to be the different one in your family? The one who saw beyond the limitations, the one who dared to believe for more. Because He was preparing you to be the portal through which blessing flows to everyone else. Your family is about to witness something they've never seen before. Supernatural acceleration, divine elevation, heaven-backed validation, and they're going to realize that all those years they thought you were crazy for believing. You were actually the sanest one in the room. This transfer is coming with such force, such undeniable momentum, that even your enemies will have to admit God's hand is on your life. The people who counted you out will be forced to count you in. The voices that said impossible will be silenced by the evidence of accomplished. But why must this happen publicly? Why must your family see it? Why can't God just bless you quietly? Because this isn't just about your breakthrough. This is about their belief. Your family needs to see that God still moves. They need to witness that heaven still opens. They need proof that prayers still work and faith still pays dividends. Your public transfer is going to become their private revival. Your visible blessing is going to restore their invisible hope. When they see what God does for the faithful one, they're going to remember how to be faithful themselves. But here's the warning, chosen one. With great transfer comes great responsibility. This money isn't coming so you can buy toys. It's coming so you can build temples. Not buildings made of brick and mortar, but temples of hope in the hearts of everyone who's been waiting for a sign that God still cares. The clock is ticking. The authorization has been signed. The angels have been dispatched. And somewhere between this moment and your next sunrise, everything is about to change. But before it does, before your phone rings with the call that shifts everything, before your family's jaws drop and your critics fall silent, you need to understand exactly what you're stepping into, because this transfer comes with a mandate. Let me tell you something that's going to cut deep, chosen one. Your family remembers who you were. They remember the version of you that struggled, that failed, that couldn't quite get it together. They remember the you that asked for help, that borrowed money, that couldn't catch a break to save your life. But God is about to show them who He made you to be. And when that revelation hits, when that transfer lands, when the evidence becomes undeniable, your family is going to experience a shockwave that rocks them to their very core, because the person they thought they knew is about to become unrecognizable. Listen carefully. This isn't happening to embarrass them. This is happening to awaken them. For too long, your family has operated under the illusion that they had you figured out. They put you in a box, slapped a label on it, and called it done. That's just how they are, they said. They'll never amount to much, they whispered. But what they didn't realize is that you were never meant to stay in that box. You were the seed, chosen one. The seed that had to be buried, overlooked, even ridiculed, but you were secretly marked by the Almighty Himself. Remember Joseph. His own brothers saw him as nothing more than a dreamer with delusions of grandeur. They mocked his visions, despised his favor, and sold him into slavery, thinking they'd silenced his destiny forever. But years later, when famine ravaged the land and they stood before Pharaoh's second-in-command begging for grain, they didn't even recognize their own brother. The boy they'd thrown into a pit was now the man who controlled Egypt's treasury. Your family is about to have their own Joseph moment. They're about to come face to face with a version of you they never saw coming. The struggling relative they remember is about to become the family financier. The one they pitied is about to become their provider. The black sheep is about to become the shepherd. But here's what's going to shake them the most. It's not just the money. It's the authority you now carry. It's the confidence in your voice. It's the peace in your spirit when chaos surrounds you. It's the way you walk into rooms and the atmosphere shifts. It's the way you speak and things happen. They're going to ask themselves, when did this happen? How did we miss this? And the answer is simple. While they were looking at your limitations, God was looking at your potential. While they were focused on your failures, He was building your future. Moses walked back into Egypt after 40 years in the wilderness, and Pharaoh didn't recognize the stammering fugitive who had fled in fear. The man standing before him held a rod that could split seas, bring plagues and topple kingdoms. Same man, different anointing. Same blood, different authority. Your rod is coming, chosen one. Your demonstration of divine power is approaching. And when your family sees what flows through your hands now, when they witness the favor that follows your footsteps, when they watch doors open at your approach, they're going to realize they never really knew you at all. The Bible says in 1 Samuel 16-7, man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Your family has been looking at your exterior circumstances, but God has been looking at your interior calling. They saw your struggles. He saw your strength. They saw your setbacks. He saw your setup. And now the setup is complete. This transfer will shock your family, not because God suddenly decided to bless you. It will shock them because they're finally seeing what He's always seen. They're witnessing the manifestation of a destiny that was written before you took your first breath. You see, there's something powerful about hidden favor being revealed publicly. It doesn't just change your bank account, it changes how your name is spoken at family gatherings. It transforms you from the subject of concern to the source of solutions, from the one they worried about to the one they call when they're worried. But understand this, their shock isn't your responsibility to manage. You didn't orchestrate this moment for their approval or their understanding. This is God's doing, and His timing is perfect. He waited until the exact moment when the impact would be greatest, not just for you, but for everyone watching. Some of them will celebrate your rise, others will struggle with it. Some will embrace the new you, others will mourn the old version they thought they controlled. But none of that changes the fact that this is your season, your moment, your divine appointment with destiny. Type "God funded it" in the comments right now. Don't explain it, just claim it. Because when they ask, and they will ask, "How did this happen to you?" those 3 words will be your only answer. God funded it. God orchestrated it. God authorized it. Your family thought they were watching your story unfold, but they were actually witnessing prophecy in motion. Every struggle prepared you for this strength. Every rejection positioned you for this reception. Every closed door led you to this open vault. The shock wave is coming, chosen one. And when it hits, when the transfer lands, when the evidence becomes undeniable, remember this: you're not just receiving a blessing, you're becoming the living, breathing proof that God still performs miracles. You're about to show your family what happens when heaven decides to interrupt a bloodline with breakthrough. Are you ready for the impact? You know what breaks my heart? It's watching God's chosen ones apologize for their breakthrough. It's seeing people shrink back from their destiny because they think they don't deserve what heaven has been preparing for them. But let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. The very thing that makes you feel unworthy is exactly what makes you worthy. You see, chosen one, while the world was building their empires in broad daylight, you were building your character in the dark. While they were networking their way to the top, you were kneeling your way to break through. And every single moment of that hidden obedience was being recorded in heaven's ledger. You tithed with pennies when you needed dollars. You gave your last 20 when the rent was due in 3 days. You sowed seeds when your own ground looked barren, and nobody saw it. Your family didn't applaud it. Your friends didn't understand it. But God did. He saw you pray at 3 a.m. when the bills were stacked higher than your faith felt in that moment. He watched you worship with tears streaming down your face, thanking Him for what you couldn't even see yet. He witnessed every sacrifice you made in silence, every door you didn't knock on because you were waiting for His timing, every opportunity you turned down because it didn't align with His voice. The Bible says in Matthew 6-4, "Your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly." Did you catch that? What was done in secret will be rewarded openly. The private pain is about to become public provision. But here's what's going to shock your family. They're about to discover that while they were watching your struggles, God was watching your faithfulness. While they were counting your losses, heaven was calculating your reward. While they were writing you off, the Almighty was writing you up for a blessing so massive it will leave them speechless. You want to know why this transfer is going to be so shocking? Because the process was invisible, but the product is about to be undeniable. Think about Joseph. 13 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. 13 years of wondering if God had forgotten his name. 13 years of serving Potiphar, interpreting dreams for ungrateful cellmates, watching others get promoted while he stayed faithful in the shadows. But then one day, one single day, he went from prisoner to prime minister, from the pit to the palace. And his brothers, the very ones who sold him into slavery, had to bow down and ask him for bread. That's your story, chosen one. The betrayal prepared you for the blessing. The rejection qualified you for the position. The years of being overlooked were actually years of being prepared. And now, just like Joseph, you're about to walk into rooms where people who once dismissed you will have no choice but to recognize the favor of God on your life. But here's what I need you to understand. Your blessing is not for showing off. It's for showing up in rooms you once didn't feel worthy to enter, at tables where your voice needs to be heard, in spaces where your wisdom can shift atmospheres. This isn't about flaunting wealth. This is about funding purpose. This isn't about impressing people. This is about impacting lives. The money that's coming isn't meant to make you comfortable. It's meant to make you capable of doing what God called you to do without limitations. You've been faithful with little. Now God is about to trust you with much. And that terrifies the enemy because he knows what you'll do with it. He knows you won't hoard it. He knows you'll use it to build the kingdom, to heal the broken, to lift the fallen, to fund dreams that seem impossible. That's why the attacks were so intense. That's why the delay felt so long. That's why the process was so painful. Because what God is releasing through you is going to disrupt darkness in ways that will echo through generations. But I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Have you ever questioned whether it was worth it? Have you ever wondered if God really sees your sacrifice? Have you ever felt like giving up because the weight of carrying this calling in secret was crushing your spirit? If that's you, I want you to do something right now. I want you to whisper to God, "I'm still here." Just those 3 words, "I'm still here." Let him meet you right where you are, right in this moment, right in the middle of your breakthrough season. Because the silence is over, dear one. The season of hidden faithfulness is coming to an end. And what's about to emerge from the shadows will not only vindicate your obedience, it will validate every tear, every prayer, every sacrifice you made when nobody was watching. Your family is about to witness what happens when heaven decides it's time to make the invisible visible, and they won't be able to explain it away. They won't be able to attribute it to luck or connections or coincidence. Because the magnitude of what's coming can only be explained by one thing. God did this. But are you ready for what comes next? Because once the blessing becomes public, everything changes. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. The moment that transfer hits your account, you don't just receive money, you receive a new identity. And your family is about to discover they've been sitting next to royalty disguised as ordinary. You see, for too long you've carried a name that whispered poverty, a name that echoed struggle, a name that your relatives associated with lack, limitation, and borrowed time. But God is about to do something so radical, so unprecedented, that when people hear your name spoken at family gatherings, the entire atmosphere will shift. This isn't about getting rich. This is about stepping into divine authority. You are no longer the one who asks. You are the one who answers. You are no longer the borrower. You are the distributor. You are no longer waiting for help. You are the help that others have been praying for. The Bible declares in Deuteronomy 28:12, "You will lend to many and borrow from none." Do you understand what this means? God isn't just giving you enough to survive. He's positioning you as the financial solution for your entire bloodline. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you had to swallow your pride and ask for assistance? How many family dinners have you sat through, quietly calculating whether you could afford to split the bill? How many times have you watched others make decisions you couldn't afford to make? That person is dead. That version of you who checked your bank balance before buying groceries, who drove past opportunities because you couldn't afford the gas money, who smiled politely while relatives talked about vacations you could never take. That person has been buried in the grave of divine reversal. You are walking in a new name now, a name that carries weight, a name that opens doors, a name that makes banks say yes before you even finish the application. Your family doesn't know it yet, but they're about to witness the birth of their new patriarch, their new matriarch. The one who doesn't just attend family reunions, the one who funds them. The one who doesn't just show up to birthdays, the one who makes them unforgettable. This transfer isn't just changing your bank account, it's rewriting your family tree. But here's what's going to shock them the most. It's not the amount, it's the authority. The way you'll speak differently, the way you'll move differently, the way you'll make decisions without that familiar hesitation that poverty breeds. You see, money doesn't just buy things, it buys options. And options create confidence, and confidence transforms presence, and presence commands respect. Your voice will carry a different frequency now. When you speak, people will listen not because you're loud, but because your words carry the weight of someone who has resources to back up their vision. You are becoming the new banker of your bloodline. The one who funds dreams instead of just dreaming them. The one who writes checks for possibilities instead of just talking about them. But let me tell you something that's going to challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself. This authority you're stepping into it was always yours. The transfer isn't creating your authority, it's revealing it. God has been preparing you for this moment through every rejection, every disappointment, every night you went to bed wondering if tomorrow would be different. You weren't being punished, you were being processed. You weren't being forgotten, you were being forged. And now the hammer has finished its work. The gold has been refined, the weapon has been sharpened, and heaven is about to unleash you with resources that match your calling. This isn't a glow-up, this is a glory release. Heaven is announcing your name in rooms you've never entered, in conversations you've never heard, in documents you've never signed. Your family is going to watch you walk into restaurants and not look at the prices. They're going to see you make decisions based on desire, not budget. They're going to witness you saying yes to opportunities that used to terrify you financially. And they're going to ask the question that everyone asks when they see supernatural provision: how? And your answer will be simple: God funded it. But here's the truth that will separate you from every lottery winner, every inheritance recipient, every person who stumbled into money. You didn't get this wealth got you. You were chosen for this assignment before the money was even released. This isn't about what you can buy. This is about what you can build. This isn't about what you can own. This is about what you can create. This isn't about your comfort. This is about your calling. You are not just wealthy now, you are weaponized with resources. And every dollar in your account is a soldier in God's army, ready to advance His kingdom through your obedience. Your new name doesn't just open bank vaults, it opens destinies. When people see what God has done through you, they'll begin to believe He can do it through them. Your breakthrough becomes their permission slip to dream again. So when that notification hits your phone, when that deposit shows up, when that opportunity knocks, remember this moment. Remember that you were chosen not just for blessing, but for building. Not just for receiving, but for releasing. The old you would have hidden this blessing. The new you will herald it as a testament to God's faithfulness. If you've ever been underestimated, overlooked, or written off, this moment is your vindication. This transfer is heaven's way of saying, I was never done with you. Now declare it boldly, my name has changed. And watch how quickly the world adjusts to your new frequency. But here's the question that will determine whether this transfer transforms you or simply funds you. You know that ache, don't you? That deep gnawing feeling that you've been invisible your whole life. While others got promoted, you got passed over. While others got recognized, you got forgotten. While others got invited to the table, you stood outside wondering if you even mattered. But what if I told you something that would shatter everything you believed about those years of obscurity? They didn't ignore you. God covered you. Listen to me, chosen one. Every single moment you felt overlooked was actually heaven's protection plan in motion. You weren't being punished. You were being preserved. Like oil hidden deep beneath layers of rock, pressure was building around you, preparing for a gush so powerful that when it breaks through, no one will be able to ignore it. You see, the enemy's greatest fear isn't your talent, it isn't your potential, it's your timing. And God, in His infinite wisdom, knew that if you had emerged too early, the enemy would have destroyed what was still developing within you. So He hid you, not from blessing but for blessing. Remember Joseph? 17 years old, dreaming of greatness, only to be thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in prison for years. But here's what Joseph didn't know. While he was rotting in that cell, God was building an empire around his character. Every rejection was actually divine redirection. Every setback was set up for the greatest comeback in biblical history. You were hidden like oil under rock. And now, dear one, the pressure has created something that's about to gush forth with such force that your family won't know what hit them. Think about it. How many times did you wonder why God was taking so long? How many nights did you cry out, "Where are you?" How many times did you watch less qualified people walk into the very opportunities you prayed for? You thought God was slow, but God wasn't slow, He was strategic. Scripture tells us in Ecclesiastes 3:1, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven." Your season of hiddenness had a purpose. It wasn't accidental. It was architectural. God was building something in the invisible realm while you felt invisible in the natural realm. You were hidden, but not forgotten. Hidden, but not finished. Hidden, because heaven had plans. Let me ask you something that might shock you. What if your family's inability to see your worth wasn't their failure, but God's favor? What if every time they dismissed your dreams, minimized your calling, or treated you like you didn't matter, God was actually shielding you from premature exposure that could have destroyed your destiny? The psalmist David understood this. For years, he was just a shepherd boy in the fields while his brothers served in the army. His own father didn't even think to call him when the prophet Samuel came looking for the next king. But that wasn't oversight, that was divine covering. God was developing David's worship in private before he displayed his warfare in public. You weren't forgotten. You were planted. And here's what happens when something is planted correctly. It doesn't just grow, it multiplies. It doesn't just survive, it thrives. It doesn't just appear, it dominates the landscape so completely that everyone wonders how they missed it. Your family is about to experience that kind of shock. Because what's emerging from your season of hiddenness isn't just success. It's supernatural abundance that has God's fingerprints all over it. Isaiah 55:11 promises us, "So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please." Every word God spoke over you in secret is about to manifest in public. Every promise whispered in your darkest hour is about to thunder in your brightest moment. You were hidden because God needed time to build something in you that couldn't be shaken. Character that couldn't be corrupted. Faith that couldn't be frightened. Vision that couldn't be vandalized. And now that the foundation is complete, it's time for the revelation. But here's what will shock your family the most. It won't be the money itself. It will be the authority you now carry. They'll see something in your eyes they've never seen before. They'll hear something in your voice that wasn't there yesterday. They'll sense something in your presence that makes them realize they never really knew who you were. Because obscurity didn't diminish you, it developed you. Hiddenness didn't harm you, it housed the very glory that's about to be unveiled. The oil that was hidden under pressure is about to break through with such force that it will literally reshape the landscape of your family's financial future. And when they ask how this happened so suddenly, you'll smile and say what Joseph said to his brothers, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." You were hidden, but not forgotten. Hidden, but not finished. Hidden, because heaven had plans that required perfect timing, precise preparation, and divine protection. And now, chosen one, your time of hiddenness is over. The covering is being removed, the oil is about to gush, and your family is about to discover that the one they overlooked was actually the one God was preparing to overflow. Comment below. I was hidden for this. Let heaven hear your agreement with this divine strategy, because what's about to happen next will prove that sometimes God's greatest gifts come wrapped in our greatest struggles. But the question that will determine everything is this: are you ready to step out of the shadows and into the spotlight that heaven has been preparing for you? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. What's happening to you right now isn't just personal transformation, it's cosmic positioning. You see, for decades you've been asking God why certain doors stayed locked, why your talents went unrecognized, why you felt invisible in rooms full of people. Why your family looked past you like you were background noise in your own story. But what you didn't realize is that God wasn't ignoring you, He was incubating you. The silence wasn't abandonment, it was preparation. And now, the time of unveiling has come. God is not just revealing you to people, dear one, He's revealing you to systems. He's introducing your name to networks you've never accessed. He's opening conversations about you in boardrooms where your resume was never submitted. He's positioning you in algorithms of favor that don't operate by earthly logic. You think this transfer is about blessing you? This transfer is about placing you. Scripture tells us in Esther 4:14, "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" Esther didn't stumble into the palace. She was strategically positioned by divine providence, just like you. You haven't been randomly selected for breakthrough, you've been deliberately positioned for such a time as this. Your family is about to witness something they have no category for. Because what's coming isn't just money, it's momentum. It's not just provision, it's positioning. It's not just a deposit, it's a declaration from heaven that says, this one is ready. Ready for what? Ready to carry influence that intimidates systems of injustice. Ready to speak with authority that silences voices of limitation. Ready to walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere, not because of what you're wearing, but because of what you're carrying. He didn't fund you to be comfortable, chosen one. He funded you to be recognized. You've been walking quietly through the crowd for years, blending in, keeping your head down, accepting whatever table scraps life threw your way. But heaven just whispered your name to the room. And now, every eye is turning, every system is recalibrating, every door that was once closed is checking its locks, because you're not rising randomly. You're rising on schedule, God's schedule. Divine timing that makes earthly clocks irrelevant. Think about Joseph. 13 years from pit to palace. 13 years of preparation that looked like punishment. 13 years of being forgotten that was actually divine positioning. And when Pharaoh's dream needed interpretation, there was only one name that mattered. Joseph wasn't just blessed, he was positioned to save nations. Your 13 years are over, chosen one. Your season of hiddenness has expired. The transfer coming your way isn't just about you paying your bills, it's about you funding your assignment. But here's what will shock your family most. It's not the amount, it's the authority that comes with it. You see, when God funds something, He doesn't just release resources, He releases recognition. Suddenly, voices that never returned your calls are asking for meetings. Suddenly, opportunities that seemed reserved for other people are seeking you out. Suddenly, your opinion matters in rooms where you used to be invisible. This is what happens when heaven decides to unveil what it's been hiding. Your family watched you struggle. They saw you passed over. They witnessed your quiet desperation in 1,000 small moments. They may have even felt sorry for you. But what they didn't see was the divine positioning happening behind the scenes. Every rejection was a redirection. Every closed door was course correction. Every no was heaven saying, not yet, because where I'm taking you requires more preparation. Proverbs 18:16 says, a gift opens the way and ushers the giver into the presence of the great. This transfer isn't just changing your bank account, it's changing your access. It's upgrading your associations. It's elevating your influence. And your family is about to learn something profound. You weren't the struggling relative. You were the strategic one. You weren't the overlooked child. You were the chosen one. This isn't just your blessing, dear one. This is your announcement. Heaven is announcing to every system that counted you out, every person who wrote you off, every circumstance that tried to define you, this one belongs to me. This one carries my signature. This one moves with my authority. The shock your family will experience isn't just about witnessing your financial transformation. It's about discovering they've been living with someone heaven considers essential, someone the kingdom considers valuable, someone God considers ready. You're not just getting money, you're getting momentum. You're not just receiving favor, you're receiving function. You're not just being blessed, you're being deployed. And deployment requires funding. The transfer coming your way is heaven's way of saying, it's time. The preparation is complete. The positioning is perfect. The unveiling begins now. Your family thought they knew your story, but they were only reading the prologue. Now comes the plot twist that changes everything. Listen to me, chosen one. There's something happening in the spiritual realm right now that your natural eyes cannot see, but your spirit knows it's real. God is making an announcement about you. Not a whisper, not a suggestion, an announcement. And when the Almighty announces something, all of creation has to line up and agree. You've spent years explaining yourself to people who never had the spiritual capacity to understand your calling. You've wasted breath defending dreams that were downloaded from heaven. You've apologized for visions that came straight from the throne room of God. But that season is over. When God announces you, you won't need to argue for your worth anymore. Your fruit will speak. Your results will roar. Your breakthrough will be so loud that even your harshest critics will have to close their mouths and open their eyes. Remember what Jesus said in Matthew 7:16, "By their fruits you will know them." Your fruit is about to be so undeniable, so supernatural, so abundant, that nobody, and I mean nobody, will be able to question the hand of God on your life. But here's what's going to shock you most. The same people who whispered about your failures are about to witness your overflow. The same relatives who rolled their eyes at your faith are about to see your favor manifest in ways that defy human logic. The same voices that said you'd never amount to anything are about to watch you become everything God said you were. You were doubted. You were dismissed. But now, you will be documented. This isn't ego talking, dear one. This is prophecy fulfilled. Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn." Every lie they told about you is about to be exposed. Every limitation they placed on you is about to be shattered. Every ceiling they built over your head is about to be demolished by divine favor. Do you know why they couldn't see your potential? Because they were looking with earthly eyes at a heavenly assignment. They were measuring your worth with broken rulers while God was writing your name in his book of remembrance. They were counting your failures while heaven was calculating your future. But God was orchestrating something they never saw coming. Every no you heard was heaven clearing space for a louder yes. Every door that slammed shut was God protecting you from a counterfeit blessing. Every rejection was actually heaven's way of saying, "Not yet. We're preparing something bigger." You've been living in the tension between God's promise and your present reality, but that tension is about to snap. When a rubber band is stretched to its limit, what happens? It doesn't just return to normal, it catapults forward with explosive force. That's what's happening to your life right now. The announcement has been made in heaven. The paperwork has been filed. The transfer has been authorized. And every person who counted you out is about to count you in. But let me tell you something that's going to happen that nobody's prepared for. The same family that once pitied you will soon ask how they can learn from you. The same people who offered you their spare change will soon seek your financial advice. The same voices that questioned your sanity will soon quote your wisdom. Because when God elevates you, he doesn't just change your circumstances, he changes how the world sees you. You become undeniable, unavoidable, unmistakable. Think about Joseph. His own brothers sold him into slavery, convinced they'd gotten rid of the dreamer forever. But when famine hit Egypt and they needed grain, where did they have to go? To the palace, to bow down to the very brother they tried to destroy. Genesis 50:20 says, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Your family meant to humble you, but God used it to develop your humility. They meant to limit you, but God used it to teach you how to live without limits. They meant to break you, but God used it to make you unbreakable. And now, when they need what you carry, the anointing, the favor, the wealth, the wisdom they're going to have to come to you. Not because you're vindictive, but because you're victorious. Not because you're bitter, but because you're blessed beyond measure. The announcement has gone out. The spiritual realm has received the memo. The angels have been dispatched with your breakthrough. And there's not a demon in hell that can stop what heaven has authorized. You were doubted. You were dismissed. But now, you will be documented in the history books of your family as the one who changed everything, the one who broke the cycle, the one who rewrote the story. When God makes an announcement about you, even your enemies have to acknowledge His hand on your life. Even the skeptics have to admit that something supernatural is happening. Even the doubters have to become believers when they see the evidence. The question isn't whether this breakthrough is coming, it's already in motion. The question is, are you ready to walk in the authority of someone who has been divinely announced? Are you prepared to carry the weight of favor that will make you undeniable? Because once God announces you, there's no going back to who you used to be. There's no returning to the shadows. There's no hiding from your destiny. The announcement has been made. The world is about to see why heaven chose you. Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What's happening to you right now isn't just a blessing, it's a divine recruitment. And I need you to understand something that most people never grasp about God's favor. It always comes with marching orders. You prayed for the oil. You begged for the breakthrough. You cried out for provision night after night, believing that if God would just open the floodgates, all your problems would disappear. But here's what nobody told you. Oil makes you responsible. The very thing you prayed for is about to demand everything from you. Look at David. He was anointed king while he was still a shepherd boy, forgotten in the fields by his own father. But the moment Samuel poured that oil on his head, David's life was no longer his own. He couldn't go back to the pasture and pretend he was just another sheep herder. The oil made him a target. The oil made him accountable. The oil made him different. And now, chosen one, that same oil is dripping down your forehead. You see, what your family doesn't understand about this transfer that's coming, this supernatural wealth that's about to hit your bank account, is that it's not a reward for past pain. It's equipment for future assignment. God isn't funding your comfort. He's funding your calling. You are no longer just the recipient. You are now the carrier. Think about Moses at the burning bush. He wanted freedom for his people, but when God called him to lead the Exodus, suddenly Moses started making excuses. I can't speak well, Lord. Send somebody else. Because Moses realized something terrifying: being chosen means you can't stay where you are. Right now, as this divine transfer is being processed in heaven's accounting department, there are assignments being prepared that match the level of your provision. God doesn't give $1 million mantles for $10 missions. The size of your blessing always corresponds to the scope of your calling. This is why some of you have been feeling restless lately. This is why you've been losing tolerance for small talk and surface-level relationships. This is why certain people have started feeling uncomfortable around you. Your spirit is being upgraded before your circumstances change, and the oil on your life is creating a frequency that not everyone can handle. But here's what's going to shock your family the most. Not just the money, but the movement. They're going to watch you start making decisions that don't make sense to their natural minds. They're going to see you investing in things they can't understand. They're going to witness you speaking with an authority you never had before. Because this isn't just a blessing, this is a mantle, and it's dripping with assignment. When Elijah threw his mantle on Elisha, the young prophet didn't hesitate. He slaughtered his oxen, burned his plow, and followed the call. Why? Because he understood that when heaven clothes you with purpose, you can't keep living like you did before the covering came. Some of you are about to discover that this wealth isn't coming to make your life easier, it's coming to make your life bigger. God is expanding your capacity because He's about to expand your territory. He's increasing your resources because He's about to increase your responsibilities. The question is, are you ready for the weight? Because make no mistake, what you carry will be heavy. Not the money itself, but the mandate that comes with it. You're going to be called to fund things that other people think are crazy. You're going to be asked to invest in dreams that haven't been proven yet. You're going to be positioned to say yes to requests that make your logical mind scream no. This is the cost of carrying kingdom currency. Look at Abraham. God promised to bless him and make him a blessing to all nations. But that blessing came with leaving everything familiar. It came with offering his son, Isaac. It came with building altars in foreign lands where nobody understood his God. Your family is going to watch you do things that seem risky, radical, even reckless. They're going to question your wisdom. They might even question your sanity, because they're still thinking with Earth's economics, but you're about to start operating with heaven's investment strategy. The oil changes everything. It changes how you think about money. It changes how you think about time. It changes how you think about people. Because once you're anointed for assignment, you stop living for yourself and start living for the kingdom. This is why Jesus said in Luke 12:48, "To whom much is given, much is required." That's not a threat, it's a truth. The very blessing you've been praying for is about to become the very thing that demands your complete surrender. But here's the beautiful part. When you say yes to the assignment, when you embrace the weight of the mantle, when you stop fighting the movement and start flowing with it, you discover something incredible. The oil that once felt heavy becomes the very thing that makes you fly. The resources don't drain you, they empower you. The responsibility doesn't break you, it builds you. The calling doesn't limit you, it liberates you into the fullness of who God created you to be. Your family is about to witness a transformation so complete, so radical, so undeniable, that they'll have no choice but to recognize the hand of God on your life. Not just because of what you receive, but because of how you steward what you've been given. You're moving from consumer to contributor, from survivor to supplier, from praying for breakthrough to being the breakthrough for others. If you feel the weight of this calling settling on your shoulders right now, if you sense the oil beginning to drip into every area of your life, write these 3 words in the comments. I carry the oil. Don't let fear silence your yes, because the world is waiting for what you're about to become, and the question that will determine everything is this: will you shrink back from the assignment, or will you rise up and carry the oil with the dignity it deserves? Listen carefully, chosen one. There's a room being prepared right now with your name engraved on the door. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. Heaven's architects are putting the finishing touches on a space that's been under construction since the day you were born. But here's what's going to shake you to your core. God is about to call your name in rooms you didn't apply for. Boardrooms where million-dollar decisions are made. Investment meetings where your future is being discussed by people who don't even know your last name yet. Conference calls where contracts with your signature are being drafted by hands you've never shaken. You think you're sitting there waiting for opportunity to knock, but the truth is, you are the opportunity they've been waiting for. Remember Esther? She didn't campaign for the palace. She didn't lobby for the crown. She didn't network her way into the throne room. She was chosen, positioned, and placed by divine orchestration. And when the moment came when her people's survival hung in the balance, she realized something that will revolutionize your understanding of this moment. The crown wasn't just to shine, it was to speak. Your breakthrough isn't coming because you deserve it. It's coming because heaven needs a voice in rooms where money moves, where power shifts, where destinies are decided. And you, dear chosen one, are about to become that voice. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Here's where most people turn back. Because stepping into that room requires something most believers aren't willing to give. Total abandonment of your small story. You see, your family knows you as the one who struggled. They remember the nights you couldn't pay bills. They witnessed the rejections, the closed doors, the moments when you questioned if God even saw you. And that version of you, that version is about to become completely unrecognizable. Because when God funds a transfer this massive, it doesn't just change your bank account, it changes your bloodline's entire narrative. Your children will grow up with a different last name legacy. Your grandchildren will inherit more than just money. They'll inherit a testimony of what happens when heaven intervenes in human impossibility. But stepping into that room means leaving the familiar behind. It means your current circle might not understand the new you. It means some relationships will shift, some will strain, and some will simply fall away. Are you willing to lose who you were to become who you're meant to be? The invitation has been sent. Not through email, not through a phone call. It was delivered by angels who've been watching your faithfulness in the wilderness. The door is standing open, not cracked, not slightly ajar, wide open. And heaven's host is waiting to see if you'll walk through it. Mordecai told Esther something that echoes through eternity. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. Chosen one. Who knows but that every hardship, every setback, every moment of doubt was positioning you for such a transfer as this? This isn't about you getting lucky. This is about you getting called up from the minor leagues to the majors, called up from survival to significance, called up from managing lack to stewarding overflow. But here's the part that will either terrify you or transform you. You're not chasing this opportunity. You are the opportunity heaven has been waiting to release into the earth. Investment firms are about to discover you. Real estate deals are about to open up for you. Business partnerships are about to seek you out. Not because you're qualified by earthly standards, but because you're authorized by heavenly decree. The angels assigned to your financial breakthrough have been in meetings all week. They've been clearing obstacles you don't even know exist. They've been rearranging circumstances, repositioning people, and realigning resources. All for this moment. All for your yes. Heaven has already RSVP'd on your behalf. The reservation is made, the seat is saved, the contract is drawn up. The only missing element in this divine equation is your movement. Will you step into that room? Will you walk through that door? Will you accept the transfer that's been approved in your name? Because once you cross that threshold, there's no going back to small. Once you step into divine funding, you can't retreat into human limitation. Once you accept heaven's economy, Earth's recession has no power over you. Your family is about to witness something they never saw coming. Not just your success, but your assignment. Not just your elevation, but your evolution. They're about to discover that the person they thought they knew was just the seed. And you're about to show them the tree. The room is ready. The door is open. The transfer is approved. The angels are positioned. Heaven is holding its breath. What will you choose? Will you step forward into the unknown and claim what's been prepared for you? Or will you step backward into the familiar and forfeit what heaven has funded? Say it aloud. Whisper it, if you must. I am stepping in. Heaven records obedience before performance. Your yes activates the transfer. Your movement triggers the miracle. The room is waiting. Will you enter? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. Every single thing that broke you, every door that slammed in your face, every person who walked away when you needed them most. It wasn't random, it wasn't meaningless, and it certainly wasn't wasted. What they called a setback was actually a signal flare being shot directly into the throne room of heaven. You see, dear soul, you've been interpreting your pain through earthly eyes, but heaven has been reading it as a divine GPS system, rerouting your entire destiny towards something your family could never imagine. Every rejection was a redirection. Every breakdown was actually a breakthrough being prepared in the spiritual realm. Remember Job? The man who lost everything in a single day. His friends called it punishment. His wife told him to curse God and die. But what they couldn't see was that Satan himself had to ask God's permission to touch Job's life. Why? Because Job was carrying something so valuable, so powerful, that hell itself was threatened by his potential. You think your struggles have been random? Think again. The betrayal that left you questioning everyone's motives, that wasn't the end of your story. It was the push you needed to stop depending on human validation and start leaning on divine vindication. The people who abandoned you weren't rejecting you. They were being removed because they couldn't handle the weight of where you're going. But here's what will shake you to your core. The moment you were weeping in secret, angels were being dispatched in silence. While you were crying yourself to sleep, wondering if God had forgotten your address, divine contractors were already breaking ground on your comeback. While you were questioning your worth, heaven was calculating your value in the eternal marketplace. While you felt like you were falling apart, you were actually being strategically dismantled so God could rebuild you with materials strong enough to carry the wealth transfer that's coming. You want to know why it had to hurt so much? Because your assignment required you to be emptied of everything that wasn't God, so you could be filled with everything that is. Think about Moses. 40 years in Pharaoh's palace rejected, 40 years in the wilderness forgotten. But those 80 years weren't wasted time. They were preparation time. Every lesson in leadership, every moment of isolation, every day of wondering if he'd ever matter again, was God preparing him to deliver an entire nation and carry wealth out of Egypt that would make Pharaoh weep. Your wilderness wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Joseph's brothers didn't just sell him into slavery, they launched him toward his destiny. What looked like the worst betrayal in family history was actually God's strategy to position Joseph as the second most powerful man in Egypt. The pit wasn't meant to bury him, it was meant to catapult him. And you, chosen one, your pit is about to become your platform. Every sleepless night you spent wondering why God was silent. He wasn't silent, he was strategic. Heaven doesn't operate on your timeline. It operates on divine precision. And precision takes time. Your delay wasn't denial, it was divine timing being calibrated for maximum impact. But here's the part that's going to revolutionize how you see your past. Your breakdown was a signal flare to heaven that you were ready to be rebuilt. Every tear you cried was liquid prayer ascending to the throne room. Every moment you felt like giving up was actually your old self dying so your new self could be born. The enemy thought he was destroying you, but God was using every attack as an opportunity to deposit something deeper, something stronger, something more valuable into your spirit. What the devil meant for evil, God has been working for your good, and not just good, but explosive, undeniable, family-shocking good. You know what Ecclesiastes 3:1 says? To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. Your season of weeping is over. Your season of wealth is beginning. David spent years running from Saul, hiding in caves, wondering if God's promise of kingship was just a dream. But every cave taught him strategy. Every persecution built his character. Every moment of feeling forgotten was actually God preparing him to handle a kingdom. The shepherd boy who started with nothing became the king who accumulated more wealth than any ruler before him. Your caves weren't meant to confine you. They were meant to concentrate you. Right now, as I'm speaking these words, there are spiritual transactions taking place in your favor. Doors that have been locked for decades are creaking open. Bank accounts that never existed are being prepared. Opportunities that seemed impossible are being arranged by divine appointment. The rejection was the reroute. The pain was the preparation. The delay was the divine strategy. And the transfer that's about to hit your life will make everyone who ever doubted you realize they weren't looking at your struggles. They were witnessing your strengthening. Your family called it failure. Heaven called it training. Your enemies called it defeat. God called it development. The world called it the end. But heaven has been calling it the beginning. Because what's coming next won't just surprise your family, it's going to shock them into understanding that they never really knew who you were. They saw the struggle, but God saw the strength being built. They saw the setback, but heaven saw the setup. Are you ready to discover what God has been building in the invisible realm while you've been battling in the visible one, chosen one? As we close this sacred moment together, I need you to remember 3 unshakable truths that will anchor your soul in the days ahead. First, every setback in your life was not a punishment, it was preparation. Every closed door was God's way of protecting you from settling for less than His best. Every delay was divine timing being orchestrated for your maximum impact. Second, the transfer we've been talking about isn't just about money, it's about your complete restoration. God is returning to you everything the enemy tried to steal: your confidence, your purpose, your joy, and yes, the financial breakthrough that will silence every voice that ever counted you out. Third, this isn't the end of your story, it's the beginning of your legacy. What's about to unfold in your life will become the testimony that your children and grandchildren will tell for generations. But hear me clearly, dear soul, you are not walking this journey alone. Not for one moment, not for one step. God Himself has been orchestrating every detail of your comeback. And there's a community of believers right here, right now, lifting you up in prayer. We see you, we believe for you, we're standing with you. Before I pray for you, I want you to ask yourself this question. If God has brought you this far, through every storm, every valley, every dark night of the soul, do you really think He's going to abandon you now, right on the threshold of your breakthrough? Let me pray for you right now, and I want you to receive this prayer as if I'm standing right there beside you, my hand on your shoulder, speaking directly into your destiny. Father God, I lift up every precious soul who has stayed with us through this entire message. You know their names, you know their struggles, you know the tears they've cried in secret and the battles they've fought in silence. But you also know the victory that's coming. Lord, I ask you to release the transfer we've been speaking about. Open the floodgates of heaven over their finances, their health, their relationships, their purpose. Let every door that needs to open swing wide. Let every obstacle that needs to move be removed. Let every person who needs to come into their life to help fulfill their destiny be divinely connected. God, heal their hearts from every disappointment. Restore their confidence in your timing. Strengthen their faith for what's coming next. And let the breakthrough be so undeniable, so miraculous, so perfectly timed that everyone around them will know this was your doing. Cover them with your peace tonight. Give them rest in their souls. And tomorrow, let them wake up with fresh expectation, knowing that their season of waiting is over and their season of receiving has begun. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray. Amen. Now, chosen one, I need you to do something powerful right here, right now. In the comments below, type "I receive it" if this message has stirred something deep in your spirit. Let this community of believers see your faith and stand in agreement with you. If you've been carrying a specific burden, a specific need, don't suffer in silence. Share it in the comments. Let us pray with you. This isn't just a video, this is a family. And families support each other. And please, if this message has touched your heart, if it's given you hope, if it's reminded you that God hasn't forgotten you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. There's someone in your life right now who's on the verge of giving up, who needs to know that their setback was actually a setup for their comeback. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey tonight. Your faithfulness to listen, to believe, to hope, it tells me everything about the kind of person you are. You're not a quitter. You're not a victim. You're a chosen one, and chosen ones finish what they start. If this channel has become a source of encouragement for you, I'd be honored if you'd subscribe and ring that notification bell. Not for me, but for you, so you never miss a word that might be exactly what your soul needs to hear. Until we meet again, remember, your transfer is coming, your family will be shocked, and God has funded every detail of your destiny. The best is yet to come, chosen one. The best is yet to come.